Hi, I'm Dean Ricci of Ricci's Landscape Management, and I'm here today to tell you about our standard operating procedures on how to sharpen lawnmower blades. It's important to keep our blades sharp. That is a very important concept for mower maintenance. Our crews that go out and cut daily change their blades every morning or at the evening so that the next day they have fresh, sharp blades. This also provides us with a quality cut to our clients. So I'm here today at the 502 location at our sharpening station. And before we sharpen blades, one thing we want to do is we want to look at our blades that we've taken off, and we want to go through and we want to scrape off the grass deposits first to inspect the blade. Sometimes we have to take a wire brush to these, or sometimes we use the wheel grinder. Before we get to the wheel grinder or the belt grinder, I want to talk a little bit about safety equipment. I'm wearing a welding vest to keep the burrs and the embers from burning me and my clothes. I'm going to wear a mandatory visor, and then I'm also going to wear welding gloves, which will help with the heat and protect my hands from burning embers. So before I operate the equipment, I want to make sure I'm all suited up. We also have earplugs for those that want to protect their ears as well. So after we're done brushing the deposits off the mower blades, we're going to go over here to brush. So to clean off these blades, I can use a hand brush or I can use a wire brush on a bench grinder. I'm going to use the bench grinder here. These blades weren't that bad, so I didn't have to do much brush work on this. But I want to, after I'm done brushing it, I want to inspect the blade. Before we sharpen the blade, we want to inspect the blade to see if it's worth sharpening. So I want to check for cracks in the blade. I'm going to look for divots in the cutting edge. Anything that's larger than a 1/4 inch, I would discard the blade. If the cutting edge is more than 50% worn, so it cuts off on an angle because of all the wear and sharpening, you should discard the blade. So when you lose 50% of the structural integrity of the blade, toss it. We also want to check to see if it's bent. Put it on a flat surface, and this wiggles a little bit. This is acceptable. Some of these will wiggle almost a 1/2 inch, and when you do that, you should discard the blade. So before we start grinding on this belt grinder, one thing I want to go over is that we use the guide table and we pull the blade along the guide table against the belt. We're pushing and pulling at a steady rate. This will keep the blade from bluing or losing its temper, because when you keep it at one spot for too long, it heats up the blade, weakens the blade, loses its temper, makes the blade useless. So you don't want to blue the steel. When we go through, we're going to make 3 or 4 swipes along one side, and we want to make sure that we want to do this evenly. Flip it over on the other side, do another 3 or 4 strokes. Okay? I always take and I pull it and push it at the same time. If you go the opposite way, I don't recommend that, because if the blade jumps, you're going to have your fingers into the belt grinder. Once you've done your 3 or 4 swipes on either side, inspect it. You're going to want to look and see how the angle is. You want to make sure all the divots are gone. And then last but not least, you want to balance it. Here's a wall balancer. We're going to take and we're going to put it on the balancer, and we want to keep it so that it's level. If one side is heavier, like this guy, might have to take another couple passes to even it up. When we sharpen the blade, we want to make sure we sharpen it on this side and on this side. We do not want to sharpen on the bottom of the blade. That is a no-no. What happens is you start creating a wedge with the blade when you're supposed to be flat like a ramp. So after we're done grinding, we have the finished product. We have a balanced blade that's not excessively out of whack. We have two straight cutting edges with no divots. The angle is right. There's no bluing. The blade is not bent, and it's free of any excess grass deposits. What this means for the mowing crews is that they're going to have sharp blades giving a quality cut to our clients' wants. I'm Dean Ricci. Thank you for joining me.